Hi, welcome to the Monday class. If you guys have a blanket or a block or two blocks or anything that you think will help you assist in today's practice, feel free to grab whatever it is that you need. Today's practice, we're going to try to focus a little bit more on stretching in a variation that we call yin. And yin is essentially the female version of our energy that we have. And so typically we work in yang, which is that masculine hot energy, and yin is that cooling energy that allows us to ground down and surrender. So we're going to focus a lot on trying to stay low to the ground, trying to stretch out. And so anything that can help you as well, like the props that we have, can make it a little bit more comfortable. So maybe it's a little bit more of a yin and restorative like class instead. We're going to start today in child's pose. So if you have a hard surface that you were on, feel free to grab a blanket, anything really that will cushion your knees, and just place it underneath you. Knees can be wide, knees can be apart. And then we're going to sink a little bit into our heels. Let the arms extend nice and long. And then ground your head down into the earth. And take your time to decompress. To feel your weight heavy. To feel your arms relax. Just a few rounds to clear your breath in and out. And once you've taken a few breaths, on the next inhale, breathe in fully and deeply into your belly. With your mouth wide open, let out a sigh. Another inhale into the nose, deep and hold. And exhale, let it go. One more time, inhale through the nose. And exhale, release. Let the arms extend out in front of you. And we stretch the fingers apart nice and wide, palms rooted down to the floor. And it's really important maybe to let your first finger point directly to the top edge of the mat. Now from here, begin to rise up on the next inhale. And then exhale, you sink back down. Another inhale, you rise up nice and tall onto your hands and knees. And then exhale, sink back down. Now we're trying to shift forward, letting the crown extend towards the front wall. Stretch the neck long. Exhale, you sink heavy. Again, inhale and exhale. Now for those who have sensitive knees, feel free to just stay in tabletop on your hands and knees as everyone else moves back and forth. And you can take a cat-cow instead, just feeling the undulation through the spine. And inhale to drop the belly. And an exhale to run the back. Again, an inhale to drop the belly. And an exhale to run the back. And again, be mindful that your head, that your neck is extending nice and long, that you don't feel crouched around the ears, that you feel as if you're really sinking and articulating through the spine. And so everybody begin to rise up onto your hands and knees and start to move your hips side to side. So you're wagging your tail, stretching the right rib cage, stretching the left rib cage. And then if it's too much on the wrist, feel free to play around with how it feels to stretch your palms the other direction. Now, working at a desk, sometimes on the computer, you feel as if your palms, your forearms become stuck in a certain way. And so you can feel the weight shifting gently, maybe even with your hands, the fingertips moving out to the side. You just circle around a little bit to decompress the space. Another option here is to take your palms and just flip them under, but towards each other, maybe even starting on your forearms like this. And then start to feel yourself maybe lifting up, keeping your knuckles together, and stretching a little bit longer through the elbows. Now, this can be a very intense stretch for some of us, and it can be very mild. Bringing your palms back under. We're going to tuck the toes under here as well. And then exhale and gently send the hips up. Now, as you stretch, let the palms really extend long. Now, sometimes I know that feels a little bit heavy with your weight on your wrist. And so if you feel like your weight is on your wrist, be mindful to check the position of your shoulders. If you feel like your shoulders are just on top of your wrist or really close, try to bend the knees and push the weight back. So you should feel as if your navel is pulling in tight. There's a deeper stretch through the armpit, through the front of your rib cage, and you pedal the heels down the back. Shake your head yes and no. Maybe you even take the weight of your heels and just shift them left to right. Now you can remove the blanket from underneath you. And then we're going to walk the feet forward. So it doesn't have to be one big step. Just allowing ourselves to ground down through the soles of your feet. On the first inhale, we're going to rise up all the way. Reach overhead to the sky. Grab your elbows, maybe a slight side bend to the right and to the left. Just giving yourself a chance to wake up. Bend at the elbows. And then bring your hands behind you. From here, interlace your fingers and squeeze the shoulder blades together, nice and tight, feeling as if they are wrapping around your spine. And you allow the chest to open and widen. From here, as you exhale, bend the knees and just start to melt yourself down. As you melt yourself down, maybe you feel your head hang. Maybe you feel your neck relax. The arms reach up and as far back as you can go. Releasing your hands back to the floor, lift up halfway. Now on this half lift, feel the knees bend. And this will help to flatten your spine so you don't want to feel as if you're rounding or that your legs are long. So we don't want this back to happen. We don't want the back to feel like it's really jutting out. We want it to flatten out. And so to get there, bend the knees and then really feel as if your hip bones are separating. Your collarbone is widening and your eyes are extending forward. On the exhale, melt down. Now from here, grab your elbows, shake your head yes, and shake your head no. Begin to sway gently from side to side. Relax your arms. From here, we're loosening the arms a little bit more. So circle in one direction, circle in the other direction. Now releasing your hands to the floor, soften the knees. Again, slowly begin to rise up. As you rise up, stretch the arms overhead up to the sky. Deep breath here, and then exhale. Maybe you open the elbows out. So create a little bend to your elbows so that you feel your heart space opening wider. And then we're going to take the hands behind the hips again. Whether you interlace your fingers together, whether you brace your palms to your hips is up to you. Roll back just slightly. Exhale, fold forward all the way down. Shake your head yes, shake your head no. Now again, lift up halfway. And then as you exhale, lower the body down. So plant the hands and step the feet back. So you can come down to your knees first. Now this is nice and easy. If you are able to bend at the elbows, let the elbows bend by your side. Again, your forefingers are pointing to the top edge of the mat as you hug your elbows to your rib cage and lower down. Now from here, inhale just slightly, lifting up so that you feel not any strain around the neck or shoulders, but that you feel as if you're active here in the low back. So this engages your core. Maybe your hands lift up. This is a baby cobra. So being mindful not to point your head up through the nose, but feeling it strong through the back body. On the exhale, melt down. Now from here, take the left hand out to the side. Palm is down. Right hand is under the shoulder. We're going to twist open to the right wall. So I like this scorpion twist because it allows the palm, it allows the forearm, the bicep, the shoulder, and the collar to stretch. And then you can feel it maybe with the top leg rooted down behind the bottom half. And you're just gently opening up a little wider. So breathe in and breathe out. On the exhale, lower yourself back to the floor. Take the right arm out to the side, left hand under the shoulder, and then we're going to twist open to the left wall. So same thing here, where we're stretching out through the palm, through the bicep, through the forearm. Maybe you feel it across your thigh, along the hips and along the back. Now notice that my head is elevated, and this is just to keep my head neutral. If it feels comfortable for your head to stay down, that's okay too. Personally, I just have a neck injury, so this feels so much safer for my neck. As you exhale, lower the hands. And then from here, we're going to sink the hips back into child's pose. So let your body melt down for a moment. Feel your hips, your spine settling back into the floor. You can have your forehead to the ground, maybe your hands underneath your head. Just taking your time to breathe, to create space around the rib cage, and to let go. Now we're going to walk the hands forward. From here, rise up to the hands and knees. Now from the hands and knees, we're going to take the elbows down to the floor, and then we're going to widen the knees apart. So either one that works first is fine. So the knees are already wide for me. You can widen the knees, elbows are down. Now we're going to just take a moment to melt the heart down a little bit deeper. So your sitting bones are going to open wider. And then we're going to start to melt down through the chest, through the chin. So maybe you start with your chin to the floor. And I know that may not be comfortable for some of you. So maybe it's your cheek. Maybe it's your forehead and nose. And just trying to get comfortable where you feel as if you can elongate through the arms. Breath in and breath out. Feel as if your palms are plugging down, and then you're pulling the weight back into your hips. One more breath in, and then exhale, sink back into your heels. On the next inhale, rise up to your hands and knees. And then we're going to center the knees together. This time, the right leg is going to extend back. Now, as you extend the leg back, notice that my head and my hip and my heel are all trying to stay level. So if you feel like your hips are higher than your waist, like this kind of hinges, then pull your navel up towards the ceiling and try to feel as if you're not dipping down, but that you're trying to push and lift away. So this is so important for the posture. As you exhale, we're going to tap the toe down to the floor, and we're going to lift through the heel back up. So trying to isolate the hips as much as possible. Exhale down, inhale up. One more time, exhale down, inhale up, and then step your foot to the outside of the hand. Now, if your foot falls short, grab your ankle and help it forward, keeping your knee down. And of course, you can always use a blanket if you need it underneath your back knee, and allow the hips to sink a little heavier. So this becomes a lizard lunge. Now in this lizard lunge, your legs are actually wider. The front leg is to the edge of the mat. So if you look at my hand and look at my foot, my hands are to the inside of that foot. Now pressing the knee a little bit wider, you can use the blocks underneath your hands. And this gives you a little bit more height so that you have a little less tension around the shoulders. And of course, when you lift yourself up higher and you have less tension in the shoulders. That is more tension and stretch here through the front of your hip. So I'm going to turn a little bit to face you guys so that you can see what it should look like from the front angle. So the foot, and then my hands. And then from here, the knee can actually move out to the side. So just extending open a little bit wider. So I don't know if you can tell, but my big toe is lifting up off the ground. Lowering yourself back. We're going to sink the hips over the knee. And of course, you can use the blocks and walk your hands back. So it's a nice length through the front of your thigh. So let me pivot again towards the top and show you from the side. So now from here, if you can look at the leg, we're just trying to feel as if it's stretching a little bit longer. Now, if this starts to stretch longer, but then the body starts to bow, you see how it rounds? Then instead, try to get a little taller and then let the knee bend. I'd rather the posture from ear, shoulder to hip stay long and the leg bent rather than the leg long and the spine bent. This is a little bit safer for the spine. And then eventually you can work on this leg extending back. As you exhale, shift forward to the top of the mat, send the weight back, and we're back into our tabletop. Left leg extends back. Exhale, tap your toe down to the floor. Another inhale, lift it up again. Now again, try not to hinge at the hips. Keep your navel in tight. Exhale, tap it down. One more time, inhale and exhale. Inhale again, up nice and tall, and then exhale, bring your foot to the outside of the left hand. Now, it's okay if you are staying here. If you are here with your hips angled back like this, then try maybe to move this knee back a little bit more. See how it feels to sink your hips forward. And again, you can use the blocks to help elevate you up. Now, the blocks are also a way to help take away some of the strain on your wrists. So if you need to grab something like a book or anything that you have available at home, feel free to grab that. But let the hips sink heavy. We want this really long angle from the ear, shoulder, hips. We want this long angle as the leg extends back to help stretch out the front hip flexor on that right side. So relax the shoulders, because even here, if your head is heavy, that's a lot of tension that you're carrying here around the neck. So let your neck, let your eyes stay neutral, shoulders down and back. And again, just try to breathe. And when you're ready, we're going to take the weight of the hips and gently shift it back. So as you shift it back, the leg can grow longer. So notice here that my leg, I haven't quite yet extended out, and that's okay. As long as my spine stays long and tall, this is perfectly acceptable. Now, if again, the knee starts to straighten, but my back starts to round, then you want to actually go back to here, because this is a lot safer for your spine, especially. The leg will eventually stretch out as you practice maybe moving back and forth, but the leg, when it's long, the spine will never really have a chance to really stretch out if this is already locked tight. And we want to make sure that the spine is the healthiest. So from here, once you get that, then you're going to shift forward again. Come to your hands and knees. So we're going to take it again. This time I'm going to move the blanket out of the way. Inhale the right leg back. Exhale, tap down. Inhale up again, and then tap it again. One more time. Inhale high. Exhale low. And then we're going to lift it to step forward. So lizard lunge. Now in this lizard lunge, we're going to pause here for just a little longer, showing you how you can take it a little bit deeper. Maybe you have the blocks underneath you, or maybe it's a pillow. And so as you're here, you can come down into your forearms. Now this becomes a yin pose. And the yin is where we are able to surrender, able to relax. And sometimes that surrender doesn't come quite as quickly. And so we just start to feel the body, and we feel what we call the vrittis. The vrittis are kind of the irritations that we find. It is the sensations that are unpleasant. It is discomfort. It can be both physical and mental. It can even be an emotional vritti. But essentially, it is the negative aspect of ourself that maybe we start to lean into or listen to when we are facing adversity. And the goal in this practice is to almost feel as if you're moving through those thoughts and going beyond those thoughts. It's almost like you are trying to climb a hill or a mountain. And as you are doing so, you are overcoming that adversity, overcoming the fear. And so from here, we just start to feel the body melt down a little deeper. And you'll notice that there's a moment when your body just starts to relax and just starts to let go. So if you're able to get there, beautiful. If you have not quite gotten there, just hang on. If you can't get to your forearms yet, then stay on your palms. And the back knee, and again, this is for me as well personally, when I have my toes tucked under, this feels a little bit more protective for my kneecap through the joint. And sometimes it feels okay to extend it long. So either one, I think it just works best for you. So you figure out what feels right. You're going to bring your palms back underneath your chest. And then from here, we're going to sink the hips back. And it's going to feel kind of intense. It's going to feel like you're going to want to get out. Don't worry about trying to get out of it. Just breathe into it. Breathe into it. Now we come into the seated split. So this is a high seated split. Now from high seated split, you can even sink down into a low seated split. So two options. You can sit your butt all the way down to your heel if you want. Or if you can't quite do that, slide the block underneath your right hip. And then you're going to sink yourself down. And then you're going to fold forward. Now from here, how much you fold is up to you. It could just be where you sit up nice and tall. It could be where you fold halfway or a part of the way, or maybe all the way nose to your knee. So we're just trying to feel the space. Just trying to feel the space. Now notice here if your shoulders feel a little bit offline. And if it feels off, see if you can try to allow the shoulders to square up to the edge or the floor of the mat. And then we're going to walk our way forward so you can use your hands, push your way up. If you have that block, just be mindful and move it out of the way. Tuck your toes under, send the front leg back, and then we're into tabletop. Now, if you want to take a cat-cow, feel free to take a little cat-cow. And I like the cat-cows sometimes instead of a vinyasa, which is that full undulation, just to feel a small reset through the spine. Inhale, the left leg extends back. Now again, I'm not dipping my belly down. I'm keeping my navel lifted. Tap your toe under. Inhale, lift up again. And then exhale, down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, tap down. One more lift. Inhale. And then exhale, bring your foot to the outside of the left hand. Grab your knee or grab your ankle again if you need to. If you're really tight, scoot the knee back. Give yourself some room to stretch and grow. So when you scoot the leg back, this knee still stays over the ankle. If you don't, this knee might come forward, and then it just kind of gets a little bit off center. And sometimes it works for certain people, sometimes it doesn't, but just to be on the safe side, just sink your leg back. Now again, you're going to use your block, use your blanket, use your pillow, and then try to come down to your forearms. So coming down to your forearms, you want to relax your shoulders, and you're getting deeper into that lizard lunge. So notice that my back foot is still tucked under. And again, that's just to keep my back kneecap a little bit safer, more secure. If you're comfortable letting it stretch all the way out, feel free to do that. But again, if you want to protect those joints, sometimes you just have to keep some of the muscles engaged so that it stays stable and firm. So we're going to pause here. And in a yin practice, the yin practice comes where we are staying in a pose like this for anywhere between, well, usually 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes to 8 minutes. I've been in classes where we held yin for 15 minutes, and I've heard of it being 30 minutes. So just depends on the intensity that you are trying to invite into your practice. But again, it's just listening, just allowing the breath to move. Just watch when you are able to surrender. Focus on the breath. So what are your vrittis saying? Where are the thoughts in your mind flowing? When is that moment that you finally surrender? When are you able to let go? And the physical part of letting go is one aspect, as is the mental part of letting go. You let go of your body. You let go of the sensation of discomfort. And you're okay with bringing yourself to a different sort of edge. When you're ready, press your palms to the floor. And then we're going to sink the hips back. So carefully start to sink your weight back. And I'm going to use my blocks as a crutch for my hands. Sink back. And just like before, you can stay high, or you can take your block underneath your hips and then just pause and sink down. So from here, maybe you sit up tall. Notice how it feels. So for some of you, maybe the knee is bent, maybe your foot is relaxed, and it's just gradually trying to get to where it feels long and comfortable. And then once it feels long and comfortable, then feel as if you can hinge at the hips. So we're trying to hinge here at the hips rather than feeling like you are rounding up through the upper back and shoulders. So this is a forced fold, trying to force ourselves down versus a relaxed fold. So we're trying to get to the point where we can relax from the hips. Now again, that might take a little while, so feel free to gradually move in that direction. Imagine that with each inhale, you are lifting taller. With every exhale, you shift forward maybe a centimeter, maybe 1 or 2 degrees. Another inhale. And exhale. So you are the judge. You determine how much you move, how quickly and how slowly. And then from there, maybe you come down a little bit deeper. You can still use your block. If you have a block, you can support your elbow. If you're sitting on your heels and have two blocks, you can support both elbows. Just breathe. You can reach for your feet or your foot. And then when you're ready, we're going to press all the way back up, moving the blocks from out of the way. From here, step the front leg back. And we're going to come into another cat-cow. Now, from this cat-cow, just start to feel yourself pressing firmly through the palms. Now, as you press through the palms, it's not just the heel of your hands that push down, it's actually through the fingers. So start with your fingers first. Let one hand press down through the fingers, push into the knuckles, and then push the palm down. And then start with the other side, fingers, knuckles, and then your palm. With your toes tucked under, push yourself up to the ceiling. So again, bend your knees deeply. Now notice that as I bend my knees, I'm trying to let my head anchor just slightly between my arms. My gaze is at my toes. And then from here, I slowly begin to lift up through the underside of my hips. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. And feel yourself strong through the shoulder, strong through the navel. Now softening through the knees. Inhale. Exhale, step forward to the top of the mat. And we're going to lift up again halfway, stretching long through the spine. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, we're going to rise up. Now slowly rise up. And as you rise up, let the arms reach up to the sky. And then exhale, palms together, thumbs to your heart. Now we take this mountain pose. Let the arms rest by your side and close your eyes. So as you close your eyes, see if you can let your big toes connect. Let your heels kind of separate ever so slightly. So I'm going to turn and face you in case your eyes are still open. So toes together, heels apart slightly. Arms are by your side, and then you're trying to grow as tall as you can. So zipping yourself up, feel as if your heels and your hips and your shoulders and your ears are all on the same line. Trying to extend nice and tall, you glue your feet down and grow through the crown. Your fingertips are reaching down to the floor. And take a few breaths here. Now there's a natural sway of your body. Your body is constantly in motion. Even if you are trying to be still, there is your breath to account for. There is a current of energy around you. And so you are, from here, moving subtly. So you feel your weight shifting. You press down firmly through each toe. You press firmly down through the balls of your feet, through the heels. Imagine that you're zipping up your thigh, zipping up your navel, zipping up the back body so that you feel stronger, more grounded, and more stable. Now open your eyes and gaze forward. Bring your left hand to your hip. Bring your right foot to the inside of your left calf. You turn your right knee out to the side and then slide your right foot up to your left calf. And again, you continue gazing forward. So as your knee points out to the right wall, Your back body, again, is zipping up together, creating a tighter seam. And then from here, see if you can bring your foot up to the inner part of your left thigh. Now, as you press your foot into your thigh presses back into your foot. Maybe your hands connect together, thumbs to your heart, shoulders down and back as you feel your body engaging. Now, your gaze, your drishti, your focal point, can start to shift up a little taller. Feel your body grounding down. Feel your body zipping up. Now, on the next inhale, let the arms extend overhead to the sky, nice and tall. Breathe here, inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale, palms together. Lower your foot down, nice and slow, toes connect. And then from here, take your left foot to the inside of your right ankle. Right hand to your hip. And again, focus on one spot. We try not to deviate from that spot as we come into balance. Your knee opens apart, the seam in your backside zips together. From here, bring your left foot to the inside of your right calf. Again, you pause, you breathe, you hold. And then from there, see if you can bring your foot to the inside of your thigh. And if you happen to lose your balance, it's okay. Just come back into wherever you are. It doesn't have to be this high up. It could be lower down. Just press your thigh into your foot into your thigh. Squeeze through the navel. Roll the shoulders back. Now from here, the palms can connect, thumbs to your heart. Breathe in and breathe out. And again, if you find that this is not quite as challenging as you'd wish it to be, let the arms extend out nice and tall. And even from there, if you feel like your challenge needs to be even more, let your eyes begin to shift upward. Push your foot into your thigh into your foot. And we just hold this for another couple of breaths. And then slowly bring your palms together. Slide your foot back to the floor. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, fold your way down. Half lift on the inhale. And then this time we're going to sink our butt down and then onto the floor. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let the knees roll apart. From here, we're taking a nice open butterfly twist or butterfly. So if you feel like your knees are really tall and it's kind of a struggle, like you kind of have a hard time holding yourself up, get something to wedge underneath your legs. And this will help to relax your body down. This is so important to be able to relax. Now, holding on to your shins, holding on to your toes. Inhale, grow taller. So the word asana essentially relates to pose or posture. So think of that posture. What does that word imply? And typically what I see in class is when I say posture, most people are like this, and I say posture, and everyone's like, and so naturally we know that the term posture is something that indicates your spine being a little bit more at attention, being more erect. And really that is the case. You want to try to tune into a taller posture, and the posture is really important for not only the way that we look, but our circulation. So if we are able to allow the chest to open up, then the heart is able to pump blood through the whole body a lot more efficiently. And then when our body works, especially our backside, especially coming from a place where we are rounded all the time, we can feel a little bit more balance. And so we have to work the backside in order to create this really, really, really tall spine. It's not the back stretching, because that's what we do a lot of times. It is activating. And so sometimes the pain that we feel in our back when we are in these upright poses is not necessarily that it's a bad thing. It is more maybe muscular fatigue and something that we need. It's just like training your bicep or training your legs. It's, you know that it's going to feel sore. And so the soreness is not something to elude, but rather something that we want to invite. So imagine again, like your yin, we are in the vrittis. We're just trying to lean into that space of discomfort. So if it is uncomfortable, to stay balanced. If it's uncomfortable, to sit tall. Lean into it. Give it a chance to take root. And imagine literally that your sitting bones are rooting down. That you feel as if you are trying to become one with the earth. And once you become one with the earth, you are able to grow and move in different directions. You're able to feel yourself expanding through the heart. And once you're able to expand through the heart and you lift through the crown, then on an exhale, feel free to fold forward. So maybe it's a fold here. And we lead with the heart first. So not the nose, not the crown. Let's lead with the heart. So you bend at the elbows. And then as you bend at the elbows, you allow yourself to sink heavier. And it's not a hinge where you feel yourself rounding, but you feel as if you are growing, elongating. Take it one breath at a time. One breath at a time. And then yes, if your back is fatigued, don't worry, we'll stretch it out here in a minute. Relax your shoulders. Stretch out the neck. And then on the next inhale, we're going to lift up. Now this time to alleviate all the pressure on the spine. Oh, excuse me. That took my breath away. We're going to start to round down. Round down. So they say yawning is a sign that we are depriving ourselves of oxygen. So maybe I just needed to breathe in some oxygen. So we're rounding through the spine. Maybe the crown of your head comes all the way to the floor, all the way to your feet. And then slowly begin to rise up. Bring your knees together. And then slowly come onto your backside. So from here, as you come onto your backside, go ahead and let your hips and your feet just kind of open the same distance apart. So obviously your hips won't move. So it is your feet that are going to widen the distance of your hips. So from here, allow yourself to reach down towards your feet, towards the bottom of the mat with your arms. And you're going to tuck your shoulder blades under. From here, we're going to use the block. So if you have a block like this, you're going to use the block and we're going to lift up through the hips. So this is an exhale or an inhale, depending on how it is that you are arriving. And then we're going to lower the block underneath the sitting bones and then sink down. So I started with a medium block. If you wanted to move it down to the lower edge, feel free to do that. That makes it a little bit more navigatable. It's nice and easy. This is a little bit high, and being high, it's a little bit more intense, but it's also a little bit more unstable. So I'm not always a fan of cueing that one, but again, if that's, where you want to be, use your own common sense and judgment. If it doesn't feel right, if it feels wobbly, then revert back to where it feels more stable, more controlled. And also if it doesn't feel comfortable, find where it feels comfortable for you. So we want to make sure that we're just alleviating some of the pressure from the hips. Now you can stay here with your arms by your side, or like me, my hand just over my navel. You can have your feet together. You can have your knees together and your feet apart. Another option here is to extend the legs to the corners of the mat. So that's another option. Or another option here would be to hug your knees into your chest, maybe even like adding a little rock. And this is going to give you that massage-like sensation. So again, if you are higher up, I wouldn't recommend it. I would only recommend this if you are on the shortest edge of your block. So get to where you need to be and just hang tight. And if you don't have a block, if you don't have anything, maybe use a blanket, maybe a pillow. So I'm going to grab my blanket here. And you don't even need a blanket. Maybe you just take your feet and open them, or take your feet together and open your knees apart, or have your knees together and your feet apart. And just start to relax the body. Start to breathe longer and deeper. Breathe until you feel your collar and your chest muscles begin to relax. And you can close your eyes. And just listen to the sound of each breath. You feel the muscles in your face starting to let go. Feel the muscles around your forehead loosen. Relax your jaw. Relax your throat. Relax your collar, your arms, your hips, and your legs. Imagine each breath moving through you very easily. Imagine each breath moving down into your fingers and down into your toes. And you create space with each breath. And you start to let go with each exhale. So if we create space with each breath in, what do we choose to rid ourselves of with each breath out? We can let go of fear and worry. We can let go of emotions that we no longer need. And carefully, if you have a block underneath you, bring your feet together. You're going to lift your hips up. Remove the block out of the way. If it's just a blanket, you can keep the blanket as it is, and then you slowly melt down from the top of your spine all the way to your backside. And then slowly hug your knees to your heart. Give yourself a little squeeze. From here, gently, we're going to take the knees over to the left. Open the arms wide. Now, if you have a block or have a blanket that you'd like to use, maybe you take a block between your knees to help give your hips a little bit more space, a little bit more assistance. You can even have the props, if like me, underneath the thighs to give you a little bit more padding to ease into the space. The arms can open wide, or like me, your hands can collapse in. Your eyes may be closed, your nose to the sky. And again, this is about letting go. This practice of yin is all about surrendering. There are times in our life where we have to clear things physically, whether it is our home, whether it is work, whether it is just taking out the trash, little things in life that we let go. What we no longer need, we let go. And we do so mentally, we do so emotionally, as well as physically. And slowly come back to center on the next breath in. Maybe you shift your hips over to the other side, and then take your twist to the right. Again, the arms can open out, feeling the weight heavy through the hips. Heavy through the knees, hands open, hands together. Just take a few deep breaths here. You feel the body and you let it go. And start to melt away excess tension. In the end, what really matters you just continue to breathe and continue to feel, continue to adjust, and continue to evolve. Regardless of whether we want to or not, we are all moving forward. With each breath we take, with each tick of that second hand on the clock, our life continues to progress. Some of us may evolve faster, some of us may evolve slower. And so we just start to feel our body, our mind, our breath subtly shifting. Slowly unravel and come back to center. And come into a happy baby, opening up the knees. We lift them wide. Grab the edges of your ankles, your toes, your feet. Rock from side to side. And give yourself a loving hug. Now, to make this a little more complete, if you have a blanket, just like this, I would like to lay it over you to give you a little something extra. Feel free to place a blanket on top. To close your eyes, to take a deep breath, to let it go. And just connect with yourself for the next several breaths. Stay connected to your breath. Just feel the breath moving into your body. Let it go. Each breath is life coming into you. Each breath is a gift. So what do you choose to do with each gift that you are given? Imagine each breath moving into your fingers and again into your toes. You start to fill yourself up from the bottom towards the heart, towards the crown. Imagine that you are filled with your own practice. What does that look like? What does it mean? You start to feel yourself becoming whole, starting to move your fingers, move your toes. You roll your wrists and roll your ankles. Letting the arms extend back behind you. Feel a deep stretch. Hugging your knees into your heart. Give yourself a loving squeeze. Gently rocking left to right. Come all the way over to your side. And then up into a simple seat. So from here, bring your palms together. Your thumbs into your heart. We bow our heads down with gratitude and humility, honoring the light within ourselves, honoring the light within each other. May we all find compassion and celebrate one another. Namaste. Thank you so much for coming into class today. I appreciate you all being here and being a part of this. Feel free to give me any feedback that you would like. Thank you.